Big news for Breach this morning. It looks like the new Breach is going core and the old Breach, as expected, is going out. However, we're also keeping the tree, which is quite unexpected, and both Unstable and Hive Breach encounters are still going to be in the game. The good news is you'll be able to adjust it, so you're more likely to find the not boring, horrible, terrible Breach encounters, the one where you have to break the walls, and you can spec into the other one. The other thing is that graphs are gone, existing ones will be deleted, but the main thing to talk about is the crafting tree and its impact on existing crafting systems, as well as farming strategies in general. This was a really big problem in Keepers League because the tree was so strong at making high mid-level gear that it completely undermined several other systems, namely essences, expedition, also harvest, and fossil crafting. They did have a place in upper ends of crafting, but for the lower end, those were completely gutted. And along with that, that meant that several farming strategies that ordinarily would be strong were just completely thrown out and rubbish. Combine that with them nerfing a whole lot of fun scarabs, that is probably the reason why, at least I felt, and I think a lot of other people felt, that the number of things you could do in the end game during Breach League was really limited. A good way to look at this impact is just compare the value of fossils between Keepers League and Mercenary League. For example, at the top, we have hollow fossils sitting at about 62. These provide a unique crafting thing that cannot be done with the Breach Tree, so they do still maintain some value. But other ones like dense fossils are very strong, but with the Breach Tree, you can do everything that a dense fossil can do. Well, not everything, but a lot of what a dense fossil can do with the tree. So these have been completely devalued down to 1.4 chaos. We can click this and see, yeah, these things like really just didn't get that high. I remember these sitting at like a couple of chaos, all the way up to 2. That was like the peak. If we compare dense fossils in Mercenaries League, these were sitting at about 7 chaos throughout most of the league, popping up to like 11 and toward the end like 19. But these had so much more value. So people who are doing Delve were just making so much less currency. Same thing with fracturing orbs, because you can fracture items so easily with the Breach Tree. These super devalued during Breach League, topping out at like 3.4 divines, early league 2.22 divines, and over here you can see the value during Mercenaries League. These were sitting at like 9 divines. Even here, like the lowest low is still double what the high was during this. So people farming Harbinger, they're also struggling. Same with essences. Essences during Keepers League, even Essence of Horror like 19. These more popular ones, Essence of Spite 9 chaos. Over here you can see an Essence of Spite was sitting at like 35. There's another strategy that was like thrown out with the bathwater with Breach. And same with Beasts. You just had this like cascading impact. So the idea of the tree going core is kind of scary for just the game as a whole. The number of things that are viable for people who are playing Trade League. If you're playing SSF, you probably love the tree. I am a little bit worried about this, but firstly, Breach is not going to be available in every single zone. It's going to start appearing in Act 6 onwards, and you're not going to have it in every zone. So it's not likely that you're going to get those 6 links in like Act 6, 7, like we did this league. The thing is, in the end game, it's going to be very easy to spec into Breach. So the question is, are they going to nerf the tree? And I'm guessing the answer is probably yes. How do they do this? I guess there's a few ways. Firstly, they can increase the cost of provisioning womb gifts to craft gear. So instead of costing like 1,300 for an I-84, it's going to cost like 5,000. They could also reduce the amount of graph load you get from completing breaches. The other thing is the actual breach tree. It has multipliers, so more chance to get X, less chance to get Y, that sort of thing. Those could be reduced. So sort of a nerf, similar to how Harvest used to have much more likely to get X mod of a certain tag. They can make it so it's just more likely. They could also make so that you have fewer points on the tree, so you're less able to hyper-specifically craft a certain item in block mods and increase odds of getting mods. But then where does that leave the tree? Is the tree just going to be garbage? I guess they don't want it to be complete trash, but at the same time, you don't want it infringing on so many other mechanics that exist in the game and just undermining them to the point that now everyone is just running Breach, which is not the most fun mechanic. The other thing to think about is if they do nerf the crafting side of the tree, what still exists is the Foulborn side and then the currency womb gifts. Is that enough to get people to want to play Breach? I don't know. I think what would be better would just be to have it that Foulborn uniques drop from hives and from Breach mechanics rather than having to go to the tree and then like pay to gamble. But then I don't really know where that leaves this mechanic. So I sort of wish they would just go back to the old one. Obviously, they're not. I preferred having Breach Zone and Breach Lords and that sort of thing, but it looks like this is going core. We're going to have to see. The one side is they completely over-nerf it to the point that it is rubbish and no one wants to do it. The other side is they don't nerf it enough, and then we're going to have another redo of most strategies in the game are kind of bad. Well, not most, but a lot that were good are now bad. So let me know what you think. Are they going to completely destroy this? Are you happy that the tree is in? Do you think the tree is going to go in the same way it was last league, or is it going to be quite different? We'll find out soon. I'll catch you guys in the lead up to 3.28. I am going to be playing it. Please don't nerf kinetic fuse lot. GG. That's going to be it. Have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one, and bye-bye.